The sting of a first defeat in over a decade is a unique and profound sensation for any athlete, but for Della Maddalena, the aftermath of his UFC 322 title loss to Islam Makhachev has been met not with excuses or despair, but with a quiet, resolute grace. Breaking his silence for the first time since his 5-round grappling-dominated defeat at Madison Square Garden, the former welterweight champion took to social media to offer a succinct yet profoundly respectful statement, acknowledging the greatness of the man who dethroned him and vowing to begin the arduous process of rebuilding. Sharing a series of images from his fight week in New York, Della Maddalena's caption was characteristically direct and devoid of theatrics. "Thanks to those always supporting," he began, expressing gratitude to the fans who have followed his meteoric rise. He then turned his attention directly to the new champion, offering unequivocal praise that underscores his understanding of the level he now aspires to reclaim. Islam is one of the greats and deserved to win. This simple admission, free from any bitterness, speaks volumes about his character. He concluded with a forward-looking promise that will define the next chapter of his career. "I will learn and move forward." This public sentiment aligns perfectly with the guidance of his head coach, Ben Vickers, who in the immediate aftermath urged his fighter to reflect on the monumental achievements of the past year, even in the face of a devastating loss. Vickers emphasized the importance of perspective, telling Submission Radio, "Let's let him have Christmas with his family, not even thinking about what's next. Let's enjoy and smell the roses. Even though you'd feel like that isn't the appropriate statement, I think it's been a great year for us. We won the world title. Yeah, unfortunately, we lost it again to an incredible fighter, and we know what the level is." This collective response from Team Della Maddalena frames the loss not as an ending, but as a painful yet necessary calibration. For a fighter who had been on an 18-fight winning streak and captured UFC gold, the one-sided nature of the defeat against Makachev provided a stark and undeniable measurement of the pinnacle of the sport. At just 29 years old, Della Maddalena's journey is far from over. His first statement since losing the title reveals a champion's mindset, one capable of accepting defeat with dignity, giving credit where it is due, and most importantly, internalizing the lesson that will fuel his determined march back toward the top of the welterweight division.
In a testament to his entrepreneurial spirit and deep-rooted passion for combat sports, UFC lightweight contender Dan Hooker has successfully launched his own viral fight promotion from his backyard, and the spectacle has already captured the attention of the highest levels of the UFC brass. While sidelined with a grueling hand injury that kept him out of the octagon, the Hangman refused to sit idle, instead creating the 1-minute Scraps, a brutally simple and wildly popular tournament featuring 32 participants battling for a hefty $50,000 prize in violent 1-minute bouts staged right at his home. The concept immediately resonated with fight fans, with the last stream on the MacLife YouTube channel pulling a staggering 453,137 views, proving the audience's appetite for this raw, no-frills format. But the most significant endorsement came from an unexpected source, UFC Chief Business Officer Hunter Campbell. In an interview with MMA Fighting, Hooker revealed that during a chance meeting at a hotel, Campbell expressed his keen interest. He was like, "Man, I'm watching the 1-minute Scraps." He was like, "We need some of those boys in our heavyweight division," Hooker recounted. This isn't just casual praise, it's a direct signal that the UFC's top talent scout sees Hooker's backyard brawls as a potential pipeline for future stars. Hooker's promotion specifically targets massive fighters, as the format enforces no weight limit, allowing giants to clash in a whirlwind of action. He has hyped his fighters as not just big, but skilled, explaining a tournament structure designed to pit experienced fighters against one another as the bracket progresses. This focus on heavyweights aligns perfectly with the UFC's perpetual search for fresh talent in its most physically imposing division, with Campbell's comments suggesting a legitimate scouting interest in the raw power on display. But Hooker's vision extends beyond just the men's game. Demonstrating a keen promotional mind, he has already announced plans to include women fighters, actively calling for the baddest bitch to step into his backyard for a shot at the same lucrative prize. This move promises to tap into a new fan base and provide a platform for aspiring female fighters, mirroring the paths of legends like Jorge Masvidal, who first gained notoriety in Kimbo Slice's iconic backyard fights long before his UFC debut. What began as a creative outlet during injury has blossomed into a legitimate scouting ground with the potential to become a modern-day proving ground for local talent. With the UFC's Hunter Campbell already watching closely, Dan Hooker's one-minute scraps is no longer just a backyard spectacle. It's a potential gateway for the next generation of UFC heavyweights and a powerful reminder of Hooker's multifaceted impact on the sport he loves.
In a testament to the sheer magnitude of Islam Makhachev's accomplishment at UFC 322, even one of the sport's most notorious agitators, Colby Covington, has set aside his trademark persona to offer genuine and analytical praise for the new two-division champion. Covington, known far more for his inflammatory trash talk than his technical breakdowns, admitted he was proven wrong by Makhachev's dominant performance and took the time to dissect both the victory and the champion's most intriguing future challenge. Chaos was forthright in his pre-fight assessment, confessing to the Schmo, "No, I didn't see it coming. I thought Jack Della Maddalena was the bigger guy, and he would be able to overpower Makachev." The sheer ease of Makhachev's victory, however, forced a re-evaluation. Covington tipped his hat to the Dagestani's flawless execution, stating, "But hats off to him. He implemented his game plan and was able to really just control the fight the whole time." Moving from praise to analysis, Covington then outlined what he believes is the blueprint to defeating Makachev, pointing to the first Alexander Volkanovski fight as the model. "You're going to have to stuff his takedowns and make him work. You just stuff the takedowns and brawl with him." This led him directly to the fight the entire MMA world is clamoring for, a champion versus champion super fight with Ilia Topuria. Covington passionately endorsed the matchup, declaring, "I think Topuria is the perfect fight for him. I think that fight needs to happen." He broke down the stylistic dynamics that make it so compelling, highlighting Topuria's physical attributes as a key to neutralizing Makhachev's greatest weapon. Topuria has a low center of gravity, so he's going to be very hard to take down, and when he's not taking him down, he's going to be punching him with all he's got. While the fight could theoretically happen at either 155 or 170 pounds, Covington voiced a strong preference, leaning towards the lightweight division, where the size disparity would be less pronounced. "I'm hoping the UFC makes that fight next. I don't want to see Ilia going all the way to 170. It's tough. He's going to be giving up such a size advantage, but we'll see. I think 55 makes the most sense." In offering this thoughtful critique and matchmaking advice, Colby Covington has done what only the most dominant champions can. He has temporarily silenced the noise and commanded respect from every corner of the sport, including from its most unpredictable voices. His analysis underscores that Makhachev's victory wasn't just a win, it was a performance so convincing it forces even his potential future rivals to acknowledge the depth of his mastery. The simmering, years-long grudge between Ilia Tapuria and Paddy Pimblett proved this week that it requires no octagon, no press conference stage, and no main event spotlight to ignite. A simple, chance encounter in the corridors of the UFC Qatar Fight Week was all it took for the deep-seated animosity to boil over once again, proving that their rivalry remains one of the most authentically volatile in the sport. The scene unfolded ahead of the official weigh-ins, a moment typically reserved for focused, professional preparation. Topuria, marching into a building while cornering his brother Alexandre, spotted Pimblett, who was there to corner his teammate Luke Riley. What began with a terse, almost cordial exchange, "What's up, bro?" from Topuria, met with, "What's happening? You all right?" from Pimblett, instantly devolved into the familiar venom that defines their relationship. As Topuria moved through the doorway, he didn't hold back, firing a shot by labeling Pimblett a pussy. Pimblett, never one to back down from a verbal spar, responded with a taunt that has become a hallmark of their feud, calling Topuria chorizo. This retort is a direct callback to the incident that cemented their bad blood years ago at a UFC London event, where a heated altercation culminated in Pimblett famously throwing a bottle of hand sanitizer at the Georgian Spaniard. Pimblett has since wielded that very moment as a weapon, dubbing Tapuria hand sanitizer boy in a relentless campaign to get under his skin. The fact that this exchange occurred while both were in official cornering capacities underscores that this is not a promotional gimmick. It is genuine disdain. UFC officials quickly ensured the interaction went no further, but the brief clash successfully set the entire fight week abuzz. It also served as a potent reminder of the blockbuster potential that hangs in the air. Following Topuria's lightweight title victory over Charles Oliveira in June, Pimblett stepped into the cage for a charged face-off, a moment that seemed to promise a future blockbuster. Rumors have persistently swirled that their grudge match will headline one of the UFC's first events on its new Paramount broadcast deal in 2026. For now, the fight remains a will they, won't they saga that fuels endless debate among fans. But the confrontation in Qatar delivered a clear message. Whether the contracts are signed or not, the bad blood is very real, very present, and waiting for any opportunity to erupt. The foundation for a massive championship grudge match is already built. All that's left is for the UFC to finally light the fuse.
The long, uncertain wait for Conor McGregor's return to the UFC octagon may finally be approaching its end, fueled not by a standard pay-per-view main event, but by the unprecedented spectacle of a fight on the White House lawn. In the clearest signal yet that his comeback is being formally orchestrated, McGregor has been bestowed with a major symbolic gesture from the promotion, his own pair of custom-designed Venom shorts, placing him in an elite club of fighters like Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya, and signaling that the machinery behind his return is now in motion. This development marks a significant shift in momentum for the Irish superstar. After his highly publicized withdrawal from UFC 303 last year, the narrative surrounding McGregor had shifted from when to if he would ever fight again. That skepticism has been dramatically overturned by the historic announcement of the UFC's White House event in 2026. A stage so grand, it seemingly reignited McGregor's competitive fire. He immediately registered his interest, had a promising conversation with Dana White, and officially re-entered the USADA testing pool, ticking the essential procedural boxes for a future fight. The creation of custom fight shorts is the next, more tangible step in this process. During McGregor's initial rise, fighters had more sartorial freedom, but the era of exclusive Reebok and Venom deals standardized fight kits. The recent policy of granting bespoke shorts to the promotion's biggest stars is a privilege that underscores their marketability and importance. McGregor's design, featuring a green color scheme with a pattern of $100 bills in the Irish flag, is a perfect encapsulation of his personal brand, a fusion of national pride and immense, self-made wealth. This isn't just new gear, it's a uniform for his long-awaited return, tailor-made for the grandest stage imaginable. Adding concrete substance to the symbolism, McGregor's longtime head coach, John Kavanagh, has provided the most confident update in years. He recently stated that the team is 100% in, and revealed that McGregor has personally asked him to lay out a dedicated training program geared specifically toward a comeback. This moves the conversation from vague desire to active preparation. While the opponent for this White House spectacle remains a subject of intense speculation, the pieces are falling into place. The custom shorts and the coach's confirmation of a structured training plan transform McGregor's comeback from a hopeful rumor into a coordinated campaign. For the first time in a long time, the return of the Notorious One feels less like a possibility and more like a planned event, with the entire combat sports world waiting to see him step back into the spotlight, clad in his new custom green on the most unique stage in American history.
In the brutal, unforgiving ecosystem of the UFC welterweight division, where a single loss can derail a contender and 3 consecutive defeats often signal the end of a title era, the future of former champion Leon Edwards is shrouded in doubt. His devastating knockout loss to Carlos Prates at UFC 322, the first stoppage of his professional career, has amplified the questions about his motivation and his ability to compete with the division's elite. Yet amidst the calls for his retirement, a voice from his past has emerged with a message not of eulogy, but of encouragement. Belal Muhammad, the man who dethroned him, believes Rocky still has a fight left in him. Muhammad, who out-grappled Edwards to claim the welterweight strap, offered a measured and respectful defense of his former rival in an interview with Newsweek Sports. Rather than writing him off, Muhammad contextualized Edwards' recent struggles within the razor-thin margins at the very top of the sport. "He's definitely got juice left," Muhammad asserted. "You've got to look at the guys he's fighting. It's not like he's losing to bums. He's losing to the best in the world." This is a crucial point. Edwards' current 3-fight skid is not the result of faltering against middling competition. It is a gauntlet run against the division's absolute best. He was systematically neutralized by the elite grappling of Belal Muhammad and Sean Brady, and was then caught cold by the explosive power of the surging Carlos Prates. As Muhammad noted, the path for a former champion is never easy. When you're the champion, you don't get a quick give-me fight. All the fights are going to be hard fights. His advice for Edwards was simple yet profound. For him, it sucks, but he's just got to get over the little hump. Overcoming that hump, however, is a monumental task. The welterweight landscape has undergone a seismic shift. The title is now held by the dominant Islam Makachev, and a new wave of terrifying contenders like Michael Morales, who starts Sean Brady on the same card, has emerged hungrier and more dangerous than ever. For Edwards to climb back into the title picture, he must not only rediscover the form that made him a champion, but also do so against a generation of fighters who have studied his recent defeats. The road ahead for Leon Edwards is the toughest of his career. It is a path that demands physical redemption, mental fortitude, and a complete recalibration of his approach. But, according to Belal Muhammad, the obituaries for his career are premature. The former champion's story may not be over. Instead, he may be entering its most difficult, and perhaps its most defining chapter, the grueling, unglamorous, and deeply personal journey of the comeback.
In a move that underscores a profound commitment to personal growth, beyond the relentless grind of mixed martial arts, top 10 flyweight stalwart Cara France has voluntarily stepped away from the sport, triggering his removal from the UFC's official rankings, and signaling a purposeful hiatus aimed at nourishing his cultural and spiritual roots. The surprising absence of "Don't Blink" from the latest rankings update was clarified by renowned journalist Ariel Helwani, who confirmed that the New Zealand native is neither injured nor released from his contract, but is instead embarking on a self-prescribed sabbatical to reconnect with the foundational elements of his identity that exist far outside the cage. Upon investigating the situation, Helwani reached out to Cara France's management team, who provided a clear and thoughtful explanation for the fighter's decision. He informed the UFC that he was taking the year off, Helwani reported on his show, that there were other things that he wanted to do. He is not retiring necessarily, but he is taking a break. He is taking at least a year off. He wants to get some cultural things. This planned break is deeply intertwined with the fighter's well-documented spirituality and pride in his heritage. Helwani elaborated, noting, "He's very spiritual. Obviously, we've seen him do stuff for his culture, for his heritage, for his people, for his country. He's taking this break. As a result, removed himself from the testing pool. As a result, he is out of the rankings. He is not eligible to be ranked. So that is why he has not shown up on this week's rankings." This procedural step, formally withdrawing from the USADA testing pool, is a mandatory requirement for any ranked athlete taking an extended leave, and it solidifies the intentional nature of his departure from the competitive landscape. The decision arrives at a pivotal moment in Cara France's career. He is coming off a hard-fought championship battle at UFC 319 in June, the culmination of an impressive run that saw him establish himself as a premier contender in the 125-pound division. Since his official organizational debut in 2018, Cara France has compiled a resume of statement victories, including stunning wins over former bantamweight champion Cody Garbrandt, the relentless Askar Askarov, and the highly touted rising star Steve Erzeg. Rather than capitalizing on that momentum by immediately diving back into another grueling training camp, Cara France has chosen a path of holistic renewal. His decision reflects a growing awareness among modern athletes of the importance of mental and spiritual well-being alongside physical prowess. By prioritizing his connection to his culture and heritage, Cara France is undertaking a journey to replenish the very spirit that fuels his fighting career, ensuring that if and when he returns to the octagon, he will do so not just as a restored athlete, but as a more complete and grounded individual.
Having shared the octagon with Islam Makhachev and engaged in one of the most grueling battles of the champion's career, Arman Serukian possesses a uniquely qualified perspective on the new welterweight king's capabilities. After watching Makhachev's systematic dismantling of Della Maddalena at UFC 322, Serukian was left with a stark and definitive conclusion. He simply cannot see a current contender at 170 pounds who poses a legitimate threat to Makhachev's reign. In an interview with MMAfighting.com, Serukian expressed his awe at the ease of Makhachev's victory, a performance that transcended his already lofty expectations. Quote, "A very good performance," Serukian stated. "I was shocked how he beat Della Maddalena so easy. It says what Islam level is at right now, you know? He's doing different level right now. He's in his prime." This observation carries significant weight, coming from a fighter who pushed Makachev to his limits in a memorable three-round war back in 2019. That experience allows Serukian to gauge Makhachev's evolution, and what he sees now is a fighter operating on a completely separate plane. His final analysis was a daunting prognosis for the entire welterweight division. Quote, "And I don't know who can stop him right now, 170 even." This insight comes as Serukian himself stands on the precipice of a potential title shot, albeit in the lightweight division. His own path forward runs through the main event of UFC Qatar, where he is set to face the dangerous veteran Dan Hooker. The bout is a pivotal one, with a win likely securing Serukian a long-awaited rematch with Makachev for the 155-pound strap. The memory of their first encounter is clearly a driving force, but so is the lesson learned from a recent setback. Serukian was infamously pulled from a scheduled title fight against Makachev just hours before weigh-ins this past January due to an injury, a moment that forced a critical self-assessment. He revealed that the experience taught him a vital lesson in career longevity. Quote, "Don't overtrain," Serukian said bluntly. "That's the most important thing that I learned about the pullout. That's why I hurt myself always." He detailed a conscious shift in his training regimen, focusing more on recovery and less on relentless high-impact sessions. He said, quote, "That's why I try to do a lot of hiking when I want to train, or do something different like walk or do bike, and don't do a lot of wrestling that I used to, trying to save my energy." For Serukian, the mission is clear. Get past Dan Hooker in Qatar, stay healthy, and earn another shot at the man he believes is currently an unstoppable force across two weight classes. His assessment of Makhachev's welterweight dominance isn't just analysis, it's the motivation for his own disciplined approach, as he aims to position himself as the one fighter who might have the blueprint to finally provide a solution to the puzzle that is Islam Makhachev.